What is up, everybody? It's your boy Quaid. It's really bright out here. I just walked outside for the first time, and dear God, 2023 is almost over, and I learned a couple really important things. And I shot my first wedding on like 3 weeks' notice, and I learned so much from that. So today, after I get my food, we're gonna talk about the biggest things I learned from my first wedding that would probably help anyone else. And honestly, some of it might be really obvious that I just was not prepared for. But we'll talk about that here in just a second. So I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself? Could I please get 2 chicken chipotle melt, 2 beefy melt burritos, a medium Baja Blast with light ice? Some hot sauce would be fine. Thank you. Okay. So don't mind the mess. I'm kind of in the middle of trying to figure out how to reorganize and clean this up because it is kind of a crapshoot at this moment. But let's talk and give some context as to how I got into shooting this wedding for my first time ever. Scrolling through Facebook back in August, it might have been like right at the end of September actually. On Facebook, was scrolling and I saw somebody that I haven't talked to in like a decade probably. Like she knew me as a kid at our church, and I think it's at least been a decade at this point since I last talked to her. And she had put out one of those ISO in search of a photographer kind of thing. I wasn't sure what it was, but I decided to throw my hat in the ring. So I just left on the comments, I was like, hey, photography by Quaid. And it was a link to my Facebook page. And she responded to the comment, and next thing I know, we're in DMs talking about just catching up a little bit because it's been so long since we had talked. She wasn't even sure if I actually remembered her. But so we're talking, and just after the pleasantries, I was like, so you said you're needing a photographer. What do you need a photographer for? She was like, I need a photographer for my wedding. And I was like, okay, good to know. I'm trying to get into a wedding photography space here in Evansville and in the southern Indiana area. I was like, yeah, I can definitely do that. Thinking that it's not going to be something that happens, a year, maybe a little less than a year down the road, like in 2024, because I already had some clients that I booked for a wedding, but their wedding is in June of 2024. I'll throw up their engagement session that we did right here because it was sick. And she was like, oh, it's in 3 weeks. August like 26th, I think was the date that we did it. And I was like, oh, sure, yeah, we can do that. I can do that. You gotta just send it sometimes. So we sent it. And I learned some good things from that. One thing, and the biggest thing I think that I learned for myself personally, was I don't like APS-C cameras. Like crop sensors, I'm not a fan of them. After shooting on the Lumix full frame, the S5 for so long, going to the R7 that I was testing at the time because I was considering switching, it was just like, I just don't like the crop. I'm not a fan of it. And like I said, at this time I was testing the R7 that I borrowed from my buddy, and I decided for some reason for my first wedding, let me bring the R7 to a dimly lit bar where they're doing this wedding, and that's gonna be my only camera I run and shoot. I think you can all see where this is going. And those images came out when I exported them from the camera. They were so noisy and grainy, and I thought I was like screwed. I was like, oh crap. But thank God for Lightroom's denoise AI tool, because that saved my butt for delivering those photos in that gallery. And it was so much work. It took so long to get them all the images that I was using denoised for them. But so that was the biggest thing that I learned. Like I don't want to shoot anything but full frame. So that's nugget of knowledge number 1 for Quaid on his first wedding shoot that he ever did. But I'm gonna finish eating my burrito and then we will talk about the rest of this afterwards. Tidbit of knowledge number 2 that we're working with, and this is something that should have been really obvious to me because everybody that I've watched, Eric Floberg, Benj Heish, Stephen Schultz, all of them have said, run 2 cameras. Some of them run 3 or 4 cameras because they run film cameras as well. So 2 cameras is typically, though, like the status quo for wedding photography, to make sure that you have a backup And also that gives you a better versatility for your focal lengths, because one could have like a 70 to 200 on it, and the other could be like a 24 to 70, and they meet in the middle, and then that's just like all of those focal lengths covered, basically 24 to 200. And you have such a nice variety. Or you can go the route that's a lot of wedding photographers go and run prime lenses, because then you get that really nice shallow depth of field, you know, the 1.8, 1.4, 1.2 shallow depths that look so good. And also a lot of times when you're running primes, that makes you have to move your feet a bit more. You can't just stay in one spot and zoom in and out to get your shots. So you get kind of, gets your brain running a bit differently when it comes to creating the shots you want for that wedding gallery. Like I said, I ran this wedding on an R7, single camera, and I had a 70 to 200 on it. My brother had his, and he was like, hey, you want to borrow this? And he had shot weddings before. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I borrowed his 70 to 200, shot most of the wedding on that. But during the reception, I was so nervous I was gonna miss the shot because of the fact that if I went to switch to a wider lens, I will miss something that's going on that I need to capture. And so I basically tried to make that 70 to 200 work the entire time. I switched a couple times, but it took too much time to do that. And I was nervous and like really kind of stressed myself out for no reason. I could have brought my S5 with me, and I just didn't do that. So that was just a dumb thing on my end. But because of this, as soon as I got done with this wedding, my next investment was, yeah, there we go. My Clever Supply harness, dual harness from Clever Supply Co. with the Peak Design quick release integrated in. And it actually has little extra tethers that you can put on. I took them off because honestly, I got them for safety's sake, but after running a couple cameras on this, these Peak Design quick releases feel so secure. I might put them back on just for the peace of mind of it, but this is so sick. And I mean, the leather feels really comfortable. It's not super heavy. Not having a bunch of metal, it's not like making all these clinkety clankety sounds, really. I mean, when I first put it on a little bit, but other than that, not a ton of noise from it. And the Peak Design is so quick. I mean, you got their little tether that I think they hold up to like 200 or 300 pounds. I can't remember exactly. I mean, you just push it on in. And I mean, this thing is so secure. When I'm pulling on it, I don't feel like it's going anywhere. And you just push your thumb in and pull it out. And that's where your camera sits. It's so comfortable. This thing is just, it slaps. Is that what kids say? It slaps? I don't know anymore. Anyways, so 2 cameras, run a dual harness. You don't have to do Clever Supply, but I highly recommend them. Everything I've gotten from them has been such great quality, and I'm gonna put their link in the description. It's not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I freaking love all of their leather goods. Their key clip, love it. I have 2 separate minimalist wallets from them. This one, and then I have one in the blue that was like supposed to be a limited time option. My Clever Supply dual harness, my Clever Supply sling bag that you guys saw in the last video, and I also have a black Clever Supply wrist strap for when I don't want to run a camera on my neck. If I just want to have it in my wrist, there, it's right there, good to go. So these are some great things to have. Nice tools, they're so sick. So please check them out, and I hope that you can find something that you like for yourself. This last nugget of knowledge that I've been calling them, is more so something I'm sharing, not that I learned to do, but something I did that I'm so thankful and like happy I did it, because it really did help make that day so special for the bride and groom. And that is meeting with your clients before actually shooting the wedding. I don't know how many photographers don't do this, because I feel like a lot realize how important it is. Don't just show up like day of the wedding and be like, oh, hey, I'm here. Let me snap some bangers for you, as like a stranger, because that just makes it difficult sometimes, I think, for you to be able to do the shots and it not be, you know, awkward, or them being stiff and feeling uncomfortable, you know? So I met with the bride, Tiffany, about a week and a half maybe before the actual wedding, and got to just we went over some ideas of what she was looking for with the wedding, what kind of photos they were wanting. But I also learned some really key details about like her and Matt's story that just it broke this ice and gave us a connection to talk about things. It made it a bit more comfortable whenever we finally got to the wedding day and we're doing photos. There wasn't any awkward silences or like awkward stiffness. And so with it, when I was talking with her, she explained to me that her fiance at the time, now husband Matt, was part of the team that helped put up the new marquee for the Victory Theater downtown on Main Street. And this theater has been around for forever. I was baby Jesus in an Easter play 20 some odd years ago, probably at this point. How old was I? I was probably like 2 or 3. I don't even know how old I was. It's been at least 20 years since that time that this was going on when I was baby Jesus in a play at the Victory Theater. And I don't know if there was a point where it was kind of on a downward curve or if it was just kind of plateauing out. But in recent years, the Victory Theater has just gone and shot off and like skyrocketed, having like almost sold out shows almost every week. A lot of times it's just a lot of really good business, a lot of really good shows there. But Matt, was part of the team that helped put their brand new marquee in right before their wedding happened. The marquee was put in. And so with that, we were able to do their first look, and I got the idea to do it on the corner of the Victory Theater where that marquee sits. So, because it was so important to them, I knew, thought this would be a great spot. But also with talking to her, I learned of some songs that were really important to them that they always loved. And the first song that they ever danced to at the bar at Tiki on Main where they got married and had their reception. So I was able to play that song during their first look, and you'll see here, Tiffany, the second the music started playing, you see her kind of just start to break into tears because it was just this beautiful moment that I was able to help craft and capture for them. And that means so much, not just to them, but to me, to be able to help them have those memories to cherish. And we can help kind of guide that in a way without being too like controlling of it. So those are just some things I always now will be keeping in mind for any weddings I ever shoot again. So no APS-Cs for Quaid. Bring 2 cameras, meet with your clients, and learn to personalize the experience. Oh, other thing. Plan your proposes better than I did. I used Unscripted, but I didn't use it well enough. It's a great app. I just didn't put enough effort in. They wanted candid stuff, so I didn't bring a ton of poses. But have them, just as a backup to save yourself any grief later on, or an awkward time trying to figure out how you want to pose people. It's really helpful. I love it. So there you go. A 4th nugget for free. This whole thing's free. Nothing's paid. So, Talk to you guys later. I don't know that I'll have another video out before 2023 is over. So if I don't, y'all have a happy holidays, have a good new year, and I'll see you in 2024. Peace.